Immigration impacts. When immigrants came in from Ireland, Mexico, and China, whites had lots of misgivings about the immigrants, even though some of the immigrants were there first. The US passed many laws, one of which was the Chinese Exclusion Act, excluding Chinese people from coming into the US. Even the people already in the US had to work jobs that whites were not willing to do and couldn't advance as far. Here's some evidence that will help to understand the main points. Below is an example of propaganda during the immigration period. Angel Island. They spent weeks or months. This facility functioned primarily as a detention center. Although all Asians were affected, the greatest impact was on the Chinese, totaling 70% of the immigrants detained on Angel Island. Mexican Americans in the Southwest had been given the opportunity to become American citizens at the end of the Mexican American War, but their status was markedly second class. Chinese immigrants arrived en masse during the California Gold Rush and numbered in the hundreds of thousands by the late 1800s. The majority lived in California, working manual jobs. Below an example of anti-immigration propaganda. Using evidence gathered from research, there are three main things that happened during this time. The US introduced laws that made it harder for Chinese and other Asian immigrants to enter the US. White Americans were racist and were afraid that immigrants would steal jobs from white Americans. This was not backed by any evidence. Immigrants formed their own ethnic communities and lived together with others of their race. Mexicans living in the West became second class citizens to whites, and the Chinese worked jobs that no one else wanted to do. This happened even though the Chinese and Mexicans had been there first. I have learned how Mexicans, Chinese, and Irish immigrants were treated in the 1800s by white people encroaching the land that they had had first. I think that they would be happy that at least someone understood their problems. The way I treat people affects them and me because if you are mean to people, and they will be mean to you, and they will not become depressed and won't do their job, which may affect me as their job is vital.